sitting there like, man, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Ask Mathis. I'm your host, Reggie Mathis, and rocking with me is my brother, wild man, Teddy D, a.k.a. Baron Theo Mound-builder.
Hey, everybody out there in the land.
Chilling, man. So let's just get right into it, man. Let's just get right into it. We in that, last final sprint towards the end. Over 45 million people have already cast their ballots early. Me being one of them.
Me too.
Good stuff, Teddy T. Okay, all right, Professor. So 2-1. Kamala got 2, Trump got 1. So they need a lot more brothers to get out there and vote. Before we go back to chains and other things, man. But we won't get into that here. And I'm just playing with y'all, man. Y'all ain't gonna go back to chains. Y'all children gonna go in chains. But that's something else, man. So both candidates are in their final arguments right now, and former President Donald John Trump held a rally in Madison Square Garden, bruh, and packed it out.
Bought the house down.
Packed it out, but he also packed it with some folks, who had real angry, very, very angry. So I'm not even just talking about the comedian. We're about to get into the comedian who's gotten like a lot of the backlash, but all the speakers, bruh.
Trump said,
one of the dudes from down here, bruh, like the guy who y'all know Stormy Daniels, like the guy who Stormy Daniels, like Grant Cardone, the 10X guy. That's like her mentor, bruh. He's the one that called Kamala Harris, say her pimp handlers. So a pimp, to my knowledge, only handles what? So, what I mean? He may not have called her a prostitute, but he says she had pimp handlers. So you say what you want to say about it, man, and just folks being called cowards and all this other stuff, man. I saw one meme where because a couple was driving with a newborn in the back, baby seat, somebody, little white kid, follows them, spins all around just to come by and just call them a liberal, like a liberal is the N-word.
liberal.
Liberal. Like really, man. Like these dudes is really charged up. They really charged up, and it's crazy that the interest rates. It was just said today, not interest rates, but inflation is cooling, continues to relax. All these things are platform about price gouging and bringing down the price of groceries, the price of gas, continues to go down. All the things of a platform are out there, and oh boy has no platform. His platform is, they're incompetent. I'm going to take the country back, and I'm going to give everybody tax cuts and tariffs. So all the goods are going to go up temporarily or whatever. And then, everybody's going to live happily ever after. Is there ever going to be a ever after? Definitely not if he gets in. If he gets in, there's going to be a mass exodus of folks to other countries, man. And it's interesting. I got a meme today, and I posted it from some brothers watching internationally, and they sent a speech of Dr. Martin Luther King, and he was talking about an election, an upcoming presidential election of his day. And I believe at that particular time, George, the governor of Alabama, George Wallace, was running for president, and he was just like, at that particular time, Dr. King was saying, like, this is the first time that somebody just openly been out there, because it was George Wallace who was like, segregation today, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever. Now, he ended up getting shot, and he had a come to Jesus moment. And when he got shot, came to Jesus, like the rest of his time on earth was spent. He disavowed all of the segregationist views and whatnot, and actually, did a decent job, headed out. So, but in Madison Square Garden, man, some people say it was akin to a Nazi rally that was held there in 1930s, 1939 in particular. A lot of similarities. Your boy Stephen Miller, who is getting older and older, is out there talking about America is for Americans, America for Americans, and everybody else get out. So hopefully that will include Mr. Step, that he'll get a pass where he won't have to get out, that he'll be able to pass the
I think I'm American. I think I qualify.
Bruh, we shall see, because there's about to be some new definitions. We already heard of the anchor babies, so don't be surprised. Tell him, Teddy T, has it not been done before? Where you thought you was grandfathered in, and it came out and it's just like, oh, not you, not y'all. Has there been times in this nation's history where certain rights have been bestowed to certain people, and then when folks went to collect on those rights, they were told, oh, not you, not y'all. So I'm just saying, don't be surprised.
I think the problem is with your stance is,
it's not my stance, sir. I'm saying
with the rhetoric is,
I take that.
He was president for 4 years before. Like, all this people.
All right, and President Obama, let's deconstruct that, sir. Let's deconstruct that. First of all, that economy for the first 2 years, that booming economy, President Obama said that was his economy.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That was his. The first 2 years was his economy. So let's start with that, and then two.
Let's stay on it.
Well, no, because I want to put all the points out there, and then you can go whichever one you want to go to, so we can deconstruct it.
Let's go.
Now we talk about, well, we've already seen him in the first 4 years. Well, what has happened since those 4 years have been in office, right? His 3 hand-selected Federalist Society judges have come out and done 2 major things. One, the Dobbs decision, where they came out, which basically reversed 52 years of Supreme Court precedent in Roe v. Wade, and now, they kicked it back to the states, and, you see people bleeding out, dying, because doctors don't want to perform care in certain instances and whatnot. Then the next thing that the Supreme Court did, specifically as it relates to your boy, is that it now says that things that he does while he is in office, he is absolutely immune from if he's doing it as the president, right? Which I guess the precedent in his mind would go back to Richard Nixon, when Richard Nixon was president, and he was specifically asked, can the president be charged with a crime? And he says when the president does it, it's not a crime. When the president does it. And everybody kind of laughed at that. Well, our Supreme Court has now codified that, where essentially Buddy has no guardrails. And so all the individuals who he had previously selected, from his vice president on down, all these people, the vice president, the chief of staff, Kelly, has said the man is a fascist and has fascist tendencies, and with all those things. John the National Defense Scout, the big mustache, has come out and says this guy, certainly does not need to be let back in the White House. This man is selling secrets. This man is doing all kind of things, in terms of, just totally disrespect. And when have we ever seen a president or a candidate for the president that comes out and says that I am running because America is the garbage can of the world. I'm running be the head custodian for the garbage can of the world. Like this man don't even love the country. He's like doing it, for the sake of whatever. He's why he's doing it, right, Teddy? To stay out of prison. He's doing it to stay out of prison, and he's doing it to stay out of prison. Full stop. And I'll stop with that, and now I'll give you the opportunity to discuss any point you want to discuss.
I think for the most part of your, this guy is saying this guy is saying that.
Not this guy, Vice President,
Okay.
the guy who, if something happened to you, would have led this nation. The guy who stood loyally by you every step of the way until you asked him to join the RICO, to join the conspiracy and not certify the election. He says, man, I done consulted with all the lawyers in town, all the lawyers, and not one of them is giving me a legal basis to do it. So when they said, okay, go ahead and hang him on January the 6th, and that word got back to your boy.
Dang, Reggie, for you to be passing out the
when word got back to your boy, what was his question? What was his response? So what?
You gonna let me talk this time? It's the American people are saying we don't believe you. All this hearsay and speculation of what he's gonna do. We voting for the person who gave us better times than last time he is. That's simply what it boils down to. So you rambled out so much. That's why I tried to stop you before you got too deep.
So for the economy. So if you're talking about
okay, you got that. You said Trump's first two terms are accredited.
No, first 2 years.
First 2 years. I'm sorry. His first 2 years are accredited to Obama's policies, right?
That's what Obama said.
Are you gonna stand by that? Is that?
No, I'm saying what it is. My vote is already in. It's already booked and clocked and whatnot. That's what President Obama said. And look at the policies, because other than a tax cut, tell me what regulation, tell me what policy that he did that makes you feel like it was better for you.
For one, immigration. Are you gonna let me address the points, or you gonna keep adding on more points? Your point was Obama said that the first 2 years of Trump's term is accredited to Obama's policies. But
the economy.
But no one keeps that same energy, that same logic. They never say that Obama's first 2 years are accredited to Bush's policies.
No, they absolutely do. What they say is that the Obama first 2 years of the policy, remember, the economy crashed. The entire system crashed in September of 2008, 2 months before the election. And one of the main reasons John McCain lost is because on September the 15th of 2008, he gave a speech when asked about the collapsing economy. He says the fundamentals of the economy are strong, as everything went totally.
So
yeah.
2 years later, after Obama was in office, we were still accrediting that time period to Bush's policies.
The cleanup period. No. The cleanup period. Some of that I would say was Bush on his way out, even as a lame duck. And what I'll tell you is this: the automobile industry. That was one of the things that President Bush signed on the way out. The bailout for the auto. Remember? I don't know if you remember seeing the Congress when all the guys, all the automobile CEOs flew in on all their private jets to come in before Congress and beg because they was all going out of business.
Did the banks and the car.
First, but I'm saying with the banks, Obama did that with the banks, but with the bailout of the automobile industry, that was Bush on the way out. You know, those policies, but Obama was in the Senate at the time, and he urged for that passage. So that policy, and how long did it take? It wasn't overnight. Once they gave them the money, that the automobiles, they had to, okay, we got the money now. Let's go ahead and get these new models out. Let's go ahead and do all this other stuff. And guess what happened? Detroit came back. Detroit right now is one of the most vibrant cities that's going on, that Trump is still demonizing, talking about ain't nobody in Detroit. And Detroit, it's like, bro, when the last time you been in Detroit? Detroit is totally different.
I can't find anyone that will say Obama's first 2 years were a reflection of Bush. Maybe the first year we were still feeling that we were out of the crash within the second year.
Who was out of the crash?
The country was
Understand?
recovering.
No. That's
recovering.
One of the issues, and I take issue with what you're saying, just in terms of the facts. Fortunately for you, you had government jobs type situations, so you know the taxpayers making sure you good regardless of whatever. And even when folks shutdowns threatened and all this other stuff, folks got reimbursed and other stuff. But for a lot of folks that was laid off, I had to lay off people. People was laid off during that particular time. The real estate market totally crashed. And the thing is, folks was upset that the everyday person wasn't bailed out.
So you saying
that the financial institutions got bailed out for trillions of dollars, and they're the ones that caused the financial collapse by speculating, by doing all the stuff that they was doing, by bundling like these different financial instruments, and they was betting on them and sending, and instead of just making them come and say you gotta do what you gotta do. Remember that expression? We haven't said it in a long time, but remember the expression from the 2008 collapse, too big to fail? Y'all remember that? Too big to fail. That was basically saying that, bruh, Bank of America, we can't let them go. JP Morgan Chase, we can't let them go. So all of the taxpayers, all of us, we got to give them what they want, because otherwise, you know, this paper bill money that we're on, because we're no longer on the gold standard, this whole thing gonna collapse. So we got to do it. So that's what happened when they bring in a Democratic. And remember, we had that a few weeks ago where it was like, you know, more jobs get created under Democrats, more certain things happen under Democrats, and then people get the feeling like, oh, okay, it's all good. And then when the Republican administration comes in, all they do is come in and give you a tax cut. They give you a tax cut, and they give you you know, they want to deregulate, and everybody's like, all right, cool for the deregulation, until remember what happened in Obama's administration with the Exxon? What happened with Exxon and the crisis off of Panama City and all that with the leak? You know, the Horizon. No, it was the Horizon, that barge that was out there, the Deepwater Horizon. And they didn't even know how to, the deep drilling, they didn't even know how to fix it. And it destroyed the coastline of Pensacola, what they call the Redneck Riviera. Destroyed it. You know, the folks are like, regulation, until there's a catastrophe. Now all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, where the people to fix it? Where the people had to fix it? Because your boy wants to come in and, you know, put loyalists in government jobs versus the people who know how to do the job.
I give you a quick reference that supports my claim. I just looked up the GDP growth year by year. Right? Hold on. Let me put this right here. Remember when I just stated? I say, I can see Obama's first year we was coming out the crash. You see this GDP growth right here? That's 2009. After 2009, we shot straight up. Look where we at 2010. We were out of we were pretty much out of we went the crash was the bottom of the crash was 2009 at this point right here. By 2010, we were so far from 2009, it was ridiculous. Which substantiates my claim that I could see if people were blaming Obama's first year for Bush's policies, but we talking about a whole 4 years later. We still blaming Trump.
But I'm not following you.
Okay.
4 years later, you saying you're saying 4 years like now? You're saying 2020? Right. Or you saying 2024?
Right now,
going back to 2020.
We are still blaming Trump for our economy now. And then we
What you mean? What's wrong with the economy? The economy is recovering. Remember, what was coming into 2020? What was the projections for 2020? Coming in, the projections for 2020 was whether or not there was going to be a recession or whether or not there was going to be a depression, right? And there were a lot of economists that were predicting that we were going to fall into recession. And that's why you had to come in there. The definition of a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of loss, and it never happened. So we have never fallen into a recession since the Bush administration, since coming out of the great economic collapse.
So, like, once again, we'll stay on this chart, and I just brought this up out of my head because this is what I've heard is the greatest measurement of how the economy is doing, the GDP, right? We see where it dropped, that hit the bottom in 2020, right? That's because of COVID. Look where we are in 2021. So whose policies are we gonna credit for where we were in 2021? The person
that's in office?
Huh?
The person that's in office.
Okay.
Because the person that's in office, and that is the same metrics that were involved in 2009 when Obama came in, and in the midst of the economic collapse. It's the same thing with Biden coming in at the bottom of COVID, having to dig out of COVID. So digging out of COVID, but
Reggie, you talking on both sides.
How so?
Because you said the first 2 years of Biden's presidency are attributed.
No, I said the first 2 years of Trump's presidency were attributed to Obama.
Oh, okay. That's what I said. Are we going to keep that same logic?
It is the same logic.
Okay, so then
because you go from 2020 to 20.
So you're
the infrastructure. So what I'm crediting is the actual legislation. I can point to the legislation. You can't point to any legislation on the part of Trump other than the tax cut. I can point to legislation from Biden, and the legislation from Biden was the infrastructure bill.
I'm pointing to the results. That's what I'm saying. I'm pointing to the results.
Okay, Trump ain't the president right now. So it's 2020. It's 2024, and the economy. Look at from this graph. Mm-hmm. The economy has recovered. I'm saying the economy has recovered, and so the fact that Biden has steered and directed through their policies us out of the COVID era, that these last 2 years are now with the infrastructure. You can't ride from here to Palm Beach and not see cranes everywhere and not see road work everywhere. None of that money would have been in there according to your boy, because your boy was against it. Your boy was against the infrastructure bill. So
I'm just saying, are we going to accredit the first 1-2 years to the previous president? Is that a yes or a no? That should be easy. That should be easy.
I wish that was
a layup.
That's not.
That was a layup.
It's not a layup when you have, bro. How can that be the case if I come in here with $1 trillion and I put $1 trillion here and put it to work versus somebody else who didn't? Obama said that my policies and what I did, Trump rode on for the first 2 years because all the mess from the Bush administration had been cleaned up. So by the time I handed over the keys to the country to Trump, it was for yours to take us wherever you wanted to take us. And so by doing the tax cut, what that did is it certainly helped business owners like myself, and it certainly helped but manufacturing segment went down. Like if you had like the actual segments that went down, there were 850,000 manufacturing jobs created during the Biden years versus the manufacturing jobs that were lost during the Trump years, based on his financial policies, whether it was the trade deficit with China, which he touts, this and that. China is killing us on trade.
So it's your position that we can't accredit those first 2 years of the new president for the previous president's policy.
But there's certain things. No, there's certain things. I'm not saying that you can. Well, I'm not saying to pick and choose. I'm saying to know the facts and the details, and not just send a color graph that doesn't explain the spending. Like, if you can tell me a piece of legislation or policy that went into effect by Trump other than the tax. Because if you say it was the tax cuts, then say, okay, this is how everybody benefited from the Trump tax cuts, right? But I'm telling you is that within the first year of Biden coming in, it was over $1 trillion that was put into the economy, which when you talk about the folks that have issues with that, that's where the hyperinflation came in. The hyperinflation came in with the spending that was inserted. But again, you had all the experts on both sides basically like, look, people can't go out and work. We got this disease, that's out there. We don't know what it's going to be. People got to eat. So we're going to insert all of this money into the economy. By doing that, is going to drive up prices, and that's what happened.
See. When you get into this type of argument, you can't say that. You're saying you got to basically a deep dive to see what's the effects of it.
I'm telling you that Obama said the first 2 years of the Trump presidency, the economy, you should accredit to him. Those are his words. That's what he said. So
therefore Trump could say the same thing when he's talking about the first year of Biden's
and look at your graph. Look at your graph. They're underwater. They're in hell.
No,
they're in hell.
The first year is right here. First year is right here. This is 2021 right here.
No, he was elected.
This is 2021 right here. The
Biden was elected in 2020.
Yes, but the first year it went up. Well, we all know this is COVID right here. This is COVID, this bottom, but it jumped up to here. We got to still attribute that to Trump,
to the tax cut.
Yeah, if that's your logic.
No, that's the logic of Obama saying the first 2 years.
Exactly. So if we're gonna take that, we got to take Trump can say the same thing. You got to keep it consistent.
But saying that, no, it's not keeping anything consistent. It's knowing the facts. It's knowing what was done and can that be repeated? Can that be repeated? Can a tax cut going to keep us in an upward trajectory? Because what needs to be addressed? What needs to be addressed? It depends on who you want to address. If you want to address people like me that with that pay taxes versus that get tax refunds, or that employ people. You talk about folks like me, and okay, if I get a tax cut, does that mean I'm going to go hire one more person? Maybe. It depends. It depends on what it is. But what they're talking about, looking at the place where the economy is in, is for people making under $400,000 a year. People making under $400,000 a year under the Harris plan, there is no tax increase for them. They're talking about additional money for child tax credits, because what's keeping, everybody from prospering? Why are people working, some people working at McDonald's, fast food, and other places, full-time job, but cannot pay? You know what I mean? They cannot pay their bills. They have to get a second, third job because one job isn't making, ends meet on one job. So you had a person that say, hey, you know what, just keep saving, just keep whatever. Your day will come. When you drive outside, how many homeless people you see, that just gave up? How many people that are homeless that are actually working? There are working homeless people right now. So what is Trump saying other than we're going to create tent cities and go out and people, we don't want people on our streets because it don't look good. So we're going to take these people and force them to go into these tent cities because we don't want no homeless people out here. We don't want nobody sleeping on our streets. Versus somebody saying, you know what, let's look at an economy that for everybody. Let's have a living wage. Let's have a wage where minimum wage should be $15 an hour, so that people can, actually work a 40-hour-a-week job, at minimum wage and pay their rent, pay their bills, and do whatever. So you got $50,000 that she's proposing for new business owners, for folks to go out and, try to, start a business or enhance their business. What is your man's plan other than a tax cut? What is his plan?
Well, before if you want to give me the plan details that I like, I mean,
whatever.
He's got no tax on overtime. For one, he's funded the military crazy when he was in the first time. If you talking about what benefits me personally, but what votes for you, what works for you. But to get back to the premise of the original argument, you're making an objective case. Nothing. You're presenting what your opinion might. None of these are concrete. None of these are guaranteed concrete that everybody that scientists can agree on that these will exactly work. My case was you can't say that you have this subjective opinion that the policies from the president before is attributed to the first 2 years is attributed to the new president. You can't make that subjective claim. That was my point. Everything else is just objective, and that's your opinion.
Objective and opinion are contrary to each other. Objective means that it's just the facts.
Oh, my bad. Well, flip that around. I mean, you're making a subjective, opinion-based, trying to state your claim. What I'm saying is people are voting on what we experienced when he was in office. Everything else is just opinion. But the overwhelming opinion is people were better off when he was in office. So Obama can't make that claim if you can't keep it consistent. You can't say, hey, his first 2 years were because of me. Well, Trump could say, Biden's first 2 years was because of him. You can't make that claim.
Has he made that claim?
No, because he don't want nothing to do
with Biden. That's what I'm saying. Has he made that claim? And does he not want to take ownership of how he handled the crisis? What happened when he was in a crisis? The way we ended up, because Governor DeSantis, for as much criticism as folks want to say, did a way better job than both of them. Governor DeSantis did a better job than Trump, and he did a better job than Biden, but Biden did a way better job than Trump on COVID.
But the part that you can't get away from, you can say Trump did 1,000 things wrong. People still say they were better off under him. You
Well,
can't get away from it.
half the people, because that's why we have a. That's why we have a.
It's a majority.
That's why we have a.
Like, I
That's,
feel like
No, it's
that's
not.
why we gotta. I mean,
No, the polls.
they say that Trump. The polls say that Trump has like a 5-point advantage on the economy.
No.
Look it up. Look it up. Look it up. It says he has a
I know
5-point advantage on the economy,
I know
and that gap continues to close.
from my perspective of seeing it,
Because
like,
it was double digits at one point. The last one that I saw, it was down to 5 points.
from my perspective, I see it. I'm like, I don't know, Biden, he lost this. And my thing with Harris is she's got new money from different people from Biden. So she could have something different, you know what I mean, that can come in, but it's still, you know, majority of people, when you ask these people, like we're talking about regular working class people, that's how they feel. We have money. Nobody has money in their pocket right now. Nobody. And that's the only thing that people can say.
I hope Trump does win.
This is coming from
I hope Trump does win, just for all the folks who felt like the stimulus check that had the man's name written on it came from him. Because I cannot wait until they sitting there. Gonna be more homeless people. There's gonna be more folks looking to go somewhere else, because they're gonna see that he has nothing for them. He has nothing for them. I'm gonna be fine, regardless of who wins. But it's gonna be the folks that's out here not informing themselves, talking about how they feel. Like, you talking about subjective and objective, but then talking about how a person feels or how they felt. Like,
I mean, it's just
but Reggie, we living in the consequences now.
Yeah, that's what it is.
We are living in the consequences.
The consequences of
Biden.
The consequences of bringing the economy back from the brink. I mean,
that's different from what is going on in existence. All that stuff to me is fluff. What's really going on is what people have to deal with every day, and these are the everyday situations. Trump is just doing a lot of crazy things, and people are going to be like, man, that's Trump. But when he get in office, that's what they're looking at. And it really is based off of what television networks you're looking at on where you're going. Because both of these guys are just throwing shots at each other. Like, I think this is one of the most clown elections that we've ever had. This election isn't even serious to me, because all they're doing is pointing fingers and calling each other names. Nobody ain't saying nothing.
This is the
terrible.
pettiest.
This is terrible.
I
couldn't even. I mean, I just voted to vote just because of the democracy setting to keep democracy. But the way this is going on right now, this is a floozy.
Yeah,
it's a floozy.
I must admit. Hey,
it's terrible.
That's interesting. That means that folks have won, because they have normalized what it is. You just come out and lie, make false statements. But show me where Harris has done that. Tell me where she's done that, and if she's been called out on it, where she hasn't come out there and apologized or walk those statements back. When you come in there and you make it both sides, that means the side that's really doing it has won, because they are admittedly making up stuff. Like, making up stuff. J.D. Vance came out and said the cats and dogs being eaten in Illinois was a made up to bring attention to a situation, and nobody is like, wow, that's crazy. Like, the person that is going to be a heartbeat away from the White House is admitting that we just lied. We just lied to y'all. We just made up stuff to you guys.
Here we got you said it was on like 5 points.
That's Biden and Trump. That's not Harris and Trump. Like I said, it was double digits when she entered into the race, and the last one that I saw was that it had gotten down to 5. He is definitely leading. Trump was definitely leading when it comes to the economy. Definitely leading.
Oh, I thought that was your stance. I mean,
What was my stance?
people that that people rate Trump's economy versus Biden's economy.
No, they've always given Trump the edge over Biden and Harris, even though she closed the gap for the economy. But this what you have up right now. That's Biden and not Harris.
Okay,
Which
everything else is just speculation, pretty much.
With her policies, when you look at the economists and the Nobel laureates, I think that we had the last time that was the last conversation that we had, and the number of Nobel laureates who basically said this is what will happen under the Trump plan, just with the tax cut and the tariffs, which is his plan, versus her plan. You know, not even close.
People are comparing to the economy, their how they felt, their real life experience under Trump's economy compared to Biden's economy. They're not comparing. They're not speculating on what Kamala's policy would be. They're comparing. They're attaching her to Biden. For one, she said, I wouldn't do anything different. After she said that for a month, then she started changing her message to, let's be clear, this would not be a continuation of Biden of a Biden presidency.
Well, she hasn't come out. Tell me what she said that would be different from what she said about
they asked
about
her,
Biden. No, on the View, they asked her, and she said, no, I was a part of pretty much every major decision. And then later on in that same interview on The View, she says, I would add a Republican to the cabinet. And so it wasn't that she's ever, come out and said, I'm going to do this. But I think the way it's been explained is that the job that they had coming in, they didn't have the opportunity to come in and just do what they wanted to do. They was cleaning up a mess. They were trying to keep the economy from going under. I believe that was what it was, and that's how Obama explains his initial term in office, was that we were there for the cleanup. Democrats tend to be there for the cleanups. Once the mess is cleaned on aisle 3, then that's when you have folks coming in and say, hey, with the blame game and with, a tax cut is going to solve things. We have issues in this country that require like some seriousness that, unfortunately this campaign did not lend itself to. And the seriousness of this is Social Security. Social Security, they're not even talking about it because it's the third rail. It's the third rail of politics, so they're not even talking about it, other than the former governor of the state of Florida, who, if he gets reelected to the U.S. Senate and gets back in there, and Mitch McConnell retires, he's likely to be the next majority leader, and that's Rick Scott. And Rick Scott has already pushed the plan out there, to eliminate Social Security. But that doesn't scare me, the elimination of Social Security. But what it does, if Social Security is going to remain, then some hard and fast rules need to come up. I think for people under the age of 50 years old, you need to be like, listen, people are living longer, and therefore Social Security versus 67 years old, it's going to be raised to 72. It's going to be raised to 72, or they're going to have to do something similar to the drop program that they have for teachers and what they have for government employees. They went to the drop program to say, hey, it's a retirement. You can retire now, or you can retire in 3 years or 5 years or whatever the case is, but you got to go. You got to go. Now, what were you saying, brother?
I was going to say, if you're going to make the claim is we didn't get stuff done because we had to clean up, well, most Americans feel that you cleaned up, but it's dirtier than when you started. That's because
I think the dirty part comes in with the narratives that are put out there, like Teddy said, based on what where you getting your news from, because no immigrant has has impacted or affected my life that I know of, you know, in the last ever, you know, in my life that I know of, right? So did an immigrant, you know, break into your crib or try to rape your loved one or do any of the stuff that they're being demonized and villainized for right now? But they're telling you, and so you got folks in the heartland that's not even on a border community that's around here talking about immigrants because that's the narrative that's being pushed.
Have you looked at these not the town hall but these sanctuary cities, their committee meetings where the government and the citizens go and report what's going on? Have you watched those?
I saw one meme that purportedly took place in Chicago, and I say a meme because I saw it on Instagram where there was an individual standing up talking about how much money that immigrants were being paid when certain things, certain benefits were not happening to, or certain citizens were not getting those benefits that they were given to others. So how did immigrants really get outside of the border cities? Do you remember who in large part were responsible for that?
How they got outside of
the borders, border states.
Our president, our governor.
Our governor, he joined in, but Governor Abbott from Texas, Governor Abbott from Texas started he put his bread up and started busing. He started busing the folks from.
That was an excellent.
It was. That was a political genius because what he did was he was like, hey, since y'all aren't gonna do it, since y'all aren't gonna do anything about it, let these folks show up in your city, in your town, and let y'all deal with them. And so people weren't really ready for that. They weren't prepared for that. So I applaud him for bringing light to that. But then what was the result? What was the result of that? The result of that was Senator Lankford from Oklahoma, one of the most conservative members of Congress, you know, was the co-author of a comprehensive immigration bill that would have put 1,500 additional Border Patrol members down instead of there being a 5 to 10 year wait period, because these are the issues why we have the immigration problems over here because of the existing law. And so under the existing law, there are not enough judges to deal with these cases in a timely manner. You're talking about 5 to 10 years. So once a person gets over here, they got 5 to 10 years versus the legislation that was put forth 6 months, reducing it to 6 months where you get seen by court and it's a determination of whether or not, you know, you have you met the criteria to remain in, you're fleeing, whatever, and you got to go back.
Was that not the same existing law that when Trump was in office?
No. What happened was when Trump was in office, they never went to Congress. They never went to Congress to get any type of comprehensive immigration ban. So what he did was he looked to other continuing resolutions and other different ways to try to get that wall. But everybody in the, you know, on the Democratic side was not with the wall. So what he was doing is he was trying to take whatever he could instead of doing what our system is set up to do. Our system. Let me get the system so we understand what the system is. The system is the Congress. They make laws. They make legislation, and it's only the Congress that can go in there and really clean up. The president can't do it. So he didn't even try to get comprehensive immigration reform. So what he ended up doing was just doing an executive action. And so doing that executive action, it's only as long and it's only as good as that person is in office. Because the same thing he did, his first day in office, he got rid of 100 executive actions that President Obama had done. So when Biden got in office, he got rid of executive actions that he had done. And that's the thing that is always going to be that way until you get the Congress to act. And that's what they had done, bipartisan bill that was ready to go. And your boy came in there and was like, I'd rather run on this. Don't give this man a win. That's the guy that he wants in back into the White House. Person that got $550 million. When did we learn of a president getting richer while they're in office? The man is selling our secrets. He's putting all us in danger. Ain't no telling what this man is doing. Ain't no telling what this dude is on. And he doesn't even care about the country. Doesn't even care about it. He's trying to stay out of jail. But he's succeeded. He's succeeded in getting. He's succeeded in getting.
Reggie,
brothers like you.
Point, man.
We was talking about immigration.
Yeah,
immigration in terms of it's the Congress that has to act, not the president.
Let's stay there.
Yeah.
Before you go off on the rant
about
he money and all this. Okay.
Well, it's true.
Okay. So immigration. You said Trump came and made executive orders, executive actions, did it his way, right?
He did it his way.
What the American people are saying, we like the way that Trump did it. Why Biden couldn't do it the same way? It's the same people. Well, he did, and I'm glad you mentioned that because Biden ended up doing it after the comprehensive legislation failed because there's a problem. Because people who follow the law, people who believe in democracy versus just getting it done, that's the way it's supposed to get done. You have an executive branch, you have a legislative branch, and you have a judicial branch. And the same thing that Obama was saying when they was asking Obama to do certain steps. Obama said, this is, remember he was a constitutional law professor. And he was saying that it's not legal. The president cannot do these things, right? But I guess, and it's not wrong. Remember we talk about the different forms of government, right? And this is what we get back to. Democracy is not the best form of government according to Aristotle. It's the third best form of government. The best form of government is that of a philosopher king, an autocrat, a person that's going to come in and do the right thing for the country. But the problem is it becomes the worst form of government when it's perverted, because when that philosopher king, if the person is not a philosopher king, becomes a tyrant, meaning that he gets to do what he wants to do, how he want to do it, when he want to do it. And that's what folks who are voting for this guy, that's what they are voting for. Because if you differ from him, if you have a different opinion from him, you are the enemy from within. When have you ever heard a president talk about his people that way? If you ain't vote for me, if you ain't on that or whatever happened to you, if you burning up, I wouldn't piss on you. You know what I mean? I walk right over you and keep it moving. And folks who believe that, you know what, we was better and that was better, I kind of just want to sit back and watch it, because I had the ability to go to another country. I had the ability to take my whole family and go somewhere else and watch it on TV and watch it, in the islands, or watch it from Al Jazeera or some other spot and just be like, man, I hope they right. And then, if he don't die in office, because he's not coming out. Right? Do you believe he's leaving? You believe if he gets elected, he's leaving? You think that's all hype? That's all hyperbole? That's all subjective opinions? Yeah. Do I think if he gets?
You think if he gets reelected, you think he's leaving?
Leaving? Why would he leave?
See, that's what I said.
No. Do 4 years.
You think he's leaving after the? You think he's leaving after the 4 years?
He can't do another term.
He
can't do another term.
Oh man, that's what's up.
It just depends on where we at in the world, because once the global element of they drop in the extraterrestrial setting, and now we can't be fighting these wars amongst ourselves because we all have a bigger.
I'm gonna give you another layup, Reggie. With your honest opinion, that you feel that Biden's actions on immigration and the border were serve the American people better than Trump's actions on the border?
No. And I give you another one. Afghanistan. That the pullout of Afghanistan was horrible.
So back to the original when I said that you can't say that you came and cleaned up. And I said, how can you say you cleaned up when you made it worse than when you first came in?
What?
Well,
there's more jobs that have been created. The economy is doing better. The stock market is the highest that is ever been, and we have bounced back from COVID. So where we are right now is where we want to be, where we see the future of the country. And if we go back to him, we're going back to his policies, which right now we're already income. You liked it better.
Main Street did.
You liked it better.
Teddy T is a Harris supporter.
I definitely like
and
that.
he
Definitely.
the proof is in the pudding right there.
Right. So that's when all his people was getting indicted and going to jail and going to prison and giving him bread to go and spend on other people from their legal bread. So just understand. So just understand what. Just understand. Let's be honest and truthful with and understanding the facts.
I love it.
Understanding the facts. So I wish Biden had basically kept Trump's policy as it related to the border. Keep them out. Have Mexico keep them out. Do those particular things. Absolutely. But instead, he came in saying, you know what? That's not legal. That's not lawful. This is a job for Congress. Let's have Congress do its job. So he rescinded, because remember the issue that nobody liked. I don't know if you liked it, but one of the things from the Trump era was caging the kids and separating the families. Nobody liked that. So that was one of the things that Biden ran off of, saying we're not doing that. So there was pressure from the people, was like, with the kids. So they had to come in there and do that. And we saw I don't know if you was down at Homestead during that particular time.
Right next
but
to the base.
during that particular time, Homestead started getting flooded and and they would start saying like, hey, like, there's only so much you can do to try to make it. Like you trying to make this 5-star. We can't make this 5-star. Y'all trying to make this 5-star, kid gloves. Like, no. I get it. Y'all don't want to separate the families and all this other stuff, but they're going to end up getting hot in the cot is how this thing is going to end up being. And I thought he went out there a little, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and he should not, in my opinion, he should not have just blindly reversed all of Trump's stuff. But that's the politician in him, and that's why I'm not a Democrat. That's why I am a Republican. And the only issue that I have with your boy is that neither is he. He is a rhino. He is a Republican in name only, because he knows that he can appeal. And I'm not talking about the folks like you. I'm talking about to the neo-Nazis. I'm talking about to the birthers. I'm talking about to individuals who feel that this is a white nationalist nation and they have their man back in. And if you feel that it's just going to stop with him, these folks are more and more emboldened, as they are right now, for black people in particular to stay in their place, stay in our place.
Yeah, that's a byproduct of it. But I don't know any black people that it affected. I don't know any black people that is affected by all this racism, neo-Nazis. Well, I ain't never seen no Klan march. No, and nobody I know seen the Klan march except on a YouTube clip. All my friends, they're more afraid about their children watching the other side of the left that it's extremes on the
right. As far as the trends, so one of the things as far as black men are concerned is the effective commercial that Trump has for transsexuals and the interviews, with her about folks in prison and paying for, their surgeries and all those stuff like that. Which folks, I'm not with it. The average person is not with it, you know. But
My-
I ain't with him.
My friends are more affected about having to monitor their kids watching that kind of stuff on media.